Coming up next year, in fact, on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, a brand new station launching here at Rhema Media. Star is moving on and something new is emerging called Sanctuary. And here to talk to that today is our CEO, Luke Weston. Kia ora, good morning, Luke.
Kia ora, great to be here.
Sanctuary. So why Sanctuary to start with? Why are we having a brand new station? I mean, I'm excited about it, but others might not know so much about it.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to go all the way back to the year 1997 for this.
Okay.
So at the time, Rhema Broadcasting Group had a radio station called Rhema. And they decided that they needed to have some extra radio stations to get a few more people listening, and in particular, people who sit in the older demographic and people that sat in the younger demographic. And so in that year, Life FM and Star were born, or Southern Star as it was called back in those days. And it's been a long time that those stations have broadcast, and literally hundreds of thousands of people have been drawn closer to Jesus, which is amazing. Unfortunately, the audience of Star has been slowly declining. And I don't think that's indicative of the fact that what we're broadcasting is wrong or not good. I think it's just the fact that the demographic is slowly going.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that in the future we're hitting as many New Zealanders with the gospel and with the changing love of God. And so Sanctuary is the new idea with which to do that. So the idea is worship 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, inspirational content, and that we create like a literal sanctuary on the radio for people to listen to and to enjoy, and to bring them into closer relationship with Jesus.
Yeah. And a big aim with it, I understand, is to, as you mentioned, audience changing. So bringing in a new audience, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was just talking about this actually with someone today. About 300,000 New Zealanders watch or read or listen to our channels at Rhema Media. And that's actually over 6% of the country's population. 7% of New Zealanders go to church. So it's actually a pretty big group of people.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be amazing if we could hit 10%?
Totally.
Or 13%. And then imagine what sort of effect that would be having on society if more people were giving their lives to Jesus and hearing the gospel. So, yeah, we want to grow. We want to make sure that Christian media is part of changing the dynamic of New Zealand society, and that everybody has access to that incredible message.
Now, some of our Star listeners, they listen over AM. Over time, AM's not going to be there, is it? There's more of a push for Sanctuary into the future to incorporate a digital audience.
Yeah, and this is not our decision.
Yeah.
There are things changing in the world of what we call terrestrial broadcasting.
Yeah.
So AM and FM. FM's very strong. AM is incredibly expensive, sort of $1 million to build a tower or more. And more and more people are getting off the technology. So really that comes to how you listen in your car, and people just don't tune over to the AMs. And then there's a whole bunch of car manufacturers that aren't even building AM in cars. So any electric car, Tesla in particular, AM's gone. So that's becoming a harder thing. So then you've got to try and transition into something that is different and new, and we're using the term digital first. So we're developing an app and a really great website so that people can access the stream and the content that we produce, and that it can become part of their day in that sort of way. And things like smart speakers are really important for that. Your Amazon Echoes and your Google Homes and that sort of technology.
Yeah. One of the things that, I've just lost my train of thought. It must have been quite an inspiring thought.
One of the things that I wanted to say to you, Luke, is good job.
What I did want to say to you is, so the teaching, it's still sticking around, but it's going over to the website. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's hard. That's a hard decision, right? Because, the teachers that we play on Star are incredible. We love those ministries. Again, hundreds, millions of people have been brought closer to Jesus because of their teaching. Some of them have actually been dead for many, many decades. You think of Derek Prince. So, there's no new Derek Prince content. We're just sort of replaying it time and time again. An amazing thing is it still has impact. But again, we want to make sure we're producing content that is New Zealand centric, that is relevant to a modern audience, and that really speaks into the psyche of the day. How do we listen to media in 2024 and beyond? And are you in the marketplace with that message?
Some conversations I've been having with people outside the current listening audience, younger audience, are saying to me, oh, well, you know what, like I enjoy Life FM, the likes of that, but I really want to go somewhere where there's sometimes I just want to hear praise and worship. So I feel, even talking to people outside our sort of current demographic, that they're quite excited about the thought of sanctuary.
Yeah, there's lots of scriptures to support this, but that we spend eternity, the idea of heaven, worshipping God. I remember as a kid thinking that sounded very boring, that you'd have to stand around with a timbrel or something for the whole of eternity. But in actual fact, I think that just being in God's presence will evoke a worshipful response from us. And there's this idea that the universal language of the follower of Christ is worship.
Yeah.
So, I think that binds us all. That's the thing that connects us, whether you're 3 years old or whether you're 300 years old. If you are 300, well done. That's a good innings.
Yeah.
But, worship is something that you have in common.
Yeah. And Luke, just in closing, there's a lot of listeners have been listening since, what is that date you gave?
1997.
For anyone who might be feeling a little concerned or something, change can be sort of unsettling. What would you say?
Yeah, we get it. I mean, it is unsettling, and
it's
unsettling for the staff too. I was just going to say that, and it's actually been quite hard to walk through it with everybody. But just because it's unsettling or it doesn't feel necessarily easy doesn't mean it's not right.
Indeed.
And we're seeking God. We've heard God on this one, and we know that it's going to have more impact. And if you're a person that loves New Zealand, you love the church, and Matthew 6:33, you're seeking the kingdom first and its righteousness. This is the move that's going to enable that.
Yeah, and can I encourage people to pray into it, right? Pray into it with us as we transition in this new journey to sanctuary.
Amen.
Luke Weston, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, sister.
Thanks, brother. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you can catch all our interviews on Star. See you next time.